how California is killing an industry. As a fight promoter here in the Golden State, this topic is very near and dear to my heart. And after being shut down and locked down for almost a year now, with no end in sight, just absolutely no end in sight, I thought it was very important to communicate to fight fans and to people involved with FightersRep, everybody in Knucklehead Nation. I thought it was important to explain to you guys what's going on in California and how I believe the policies here are absolutely decimating the fight game, the entire fight industry here. And it's a real shame for me because, first and foremost, I've said it time and time again. Any direction you face in California, especially Southern California, you're liable to run in or see a fight gym, whether it's Muay Thai or boxing or something. I mean, there's just so much talent here, so much incredible talent here that I've been on the record. I've been saying that this place is the fight capital of the world. Maybe not everybody agrees with me, but it's something I believe. It's either the mecca of combat sports or one of them. So, it's especially sad to me to see the policies in place and how they've impacted the fight game here in the Golden State. And I kind of wanted to run through what I've seen for you guys and tell you what I think the outcome is going to be. So first and foremost, we've been locked down for about 9 or 10 months now. And that includes gyms, right? And fighters train at the gyms. And the gyms are typically run by their coaches, and they make money through memberships. I mean, look, a lot of the time, especially in kickboxing and MMA, a lot of the time, maybe even in boxing, it's not the athletes' purses that are, flowing through them into their coaches, allowing for the coach to keep the gym door open. It's memberships. And if a gym cannot function for 9 or 10 months, it's a small business like any other small business. I mean, how do you expect it to survive when it's been shut down for 9 and 10 months? And so, I have witnessed many, unfortunately, gyms go under, and not temporarily. I'm talking about go under permanently, and it's sad to see, and it's absolutely affecting these fighters who are desperate to fight, desperate to get paid, and especially the gyms who may have now collapsed, and so those fighters have to go and look for somewhere else to train. And it's not uncommon right now for me to hear about fighters moving other places, such as Arizona, Texas, Florida. And you've seen that. It's not just happening with the big companies leaving California. Companies like Oracle and HP, which, basically kickstarted Silicon Valley or was one of the companies to do so, and Tesla and Elon Musk and Joe Rogan, a guy in our industry. But this is happening at every level. This is happening at every level. And, instead of doing something to address this for small businesses, I can tell you as a small business owner myself, as the owner of FightersRep Promotions, there's no end in sight. There is no light at the end of the tunnel at all. I mean, I drive by businesses here, and I'm seeing many of them boarded up. So, my first concern for the fight game and watching this industry potentially go extinct in the Golden State, where it should be the strongest, is the gyms and that impact on the fighters. The second thing I wanted to touch on, and this relates more to me directly, is the cost of doing business as a promoter in California. I have a lot of friends throughout the country that are involved in the fight game, managers, promoters, fighters, what have you. And I've done a survey of, different states and what the costs are, and I have yet to find anything that even comes close to California. I'll give you guys an example. I'm from the Sunshine State, from South Florida, specifically from Miami. And in order to get my license in the state of California to become a professional promoter, it was $1,000. And that's the least of my worries as far as costs go. But it was $1,000. And my understanding, just from, Googling it, is that to become a professional promoter in Florida, it's only $250. So right off the top, and I'm comparing Florida because it's the state that I'm from, and it's also a state with a lot of talent as far as fighters go. So right off the top, you're charging people 4 times more just to be licensed annually as a promoter. Another thing I notice is, typically as a promoter, you have to give or pay to the commission a surety bond, basically, or give them a cashier's check. And that's done, I believe, because, in case you do an event and you decide not to pay the officials, and you're just a grimy promoter, let's say, and you decide to do something like that, then they can take the funds from the surety bond, right? And cover the costs and, no harm, no foul. In California, that bond is at $50,000. In Florida, that bond is at $15,000, I believe. And I think I looked at Texas today just for shits and giggles because, Texas is a big fight community as well. Also, I believe it was $15,000. I was also looking at Arizona, just to see what an event costs there. And, I looked it up. And the price of an event there to do a pro event was, I believe, something like 1/3 or 1/4 of the cost here in California. And, having spoken to friends in Florida and Virginia and other places, that's typically what I'm running into, right? That I'm being charged 3, 4, or sometimes 5 times more than what other states are being charged just to kind of do the same thing, right? Because these commissions are employed through the state. And so it's the state taking this money. And it's curious to me, right? It's curious to me that that's the case because, if you look at Florida, right? Florida has I believe it's a 7%. Actually, we'll take a look at Texas. Texas has a sales tax of 6.25%, right? 6.25%. California, on the other hand, has a sales tax of 7.25%, right? So these are ways that the state gets money from its population to pay itself, right? So the sales tax, just going around buying shit, typically in California versus Texas, California is already 1% more expensive. It doesn't stop there either. Places like Florida and Texas don't even have a state income tax, right? In California, you can be charged as much as 13.3% state income tax. Whereas places like California, or rather Texas and Florida, don't even have a state income tax. So, it's the more you look into it, the more as a business owner you become, saddened and upset and bothered by the amount of money that's being taken out of your pocket that could actually go to, building your business, creating more opportunities, paying the fighters, so on and so forth. Listen, 13.3% is a significant amount of money. Think about it. If I made $1 million a year and I didn't have to pay any of that as, income tax, then I made $1 million that year. If I have to pay 13% on that, that's $130,000. And listen, I'm talking about if I made $1 million gross. Let's say after expenses that you didn't make that much money. You could really be in a world of hurt when they're taking that much tax from you. Also, despite the fact that we're seeing, so many big companies leave, and the state seems to be losing so much in tax revenue as these massive companies like Oracle and Charles Schwab and all these massive companies are leaving. You would think that they would decide to sit down with these companies and ask them, okay, what can we do to keep you here? What can we do to keep all these jobs here? What can we do to have you reinvest back in the state? They're actually doing the opposite, though. I recently read online that there's a bill, right, that they're trying to propose or that they're trying to get passed, where they would actually raise the state income tax from 13.3% potentially to 16.8%. And not only that, they've now come up with another way to collect more taxes from businesses, and I believe they're calling it a wealth tax. So they're going to, charge you additional money. I believe if you're, making something like $1 million or something like that, don't quote me on that, but it's an additional tax. And then apparently in that bill they're trying to pass for the wealth tax, they want to include an exit tax, right? And the exit tax, what that does, and I've heard that it may be unconstitutional, and it sounds like it is. What that would do is that would basically penalize you for leaving, right? So if you left the state, they would continue to charge you state taxes on a sliding scale for something like 10 years. I mean, if that's the attitude towards business in this state, it's no wonder that you're looking at the owner of the only pro kickboxing promotion that's active, or right now we're not even active, but the only pro kickboxing promoter in this entire state. And I'll say this, you would think that in a state where we've got Khabib Nurmagomedov, Daniel Cormier, Cain Velasquez, Chuck Liddell, Tito Ortiz, all these guys are from here. Black House MMA is here. They put guys on our show. Anderson Silva's here. We can go on and on. Nate Diaz, Nick Diaz. You would think in a state like that we would have an incredible array of professional MMA promotions. Where are they? Where are they? It is such a burden to put on a professional event here. It is so costly and such a game of financial Russian roulette that the only pro MMA promotion I can think of that's not operating on an Indian reservation, and they do operate on Indian reservations a lot of the time to avoid expenses and to avoid having to go through the state commission. But the only one that I can think of is LXF. Big shout out to LXF. That's the only one I can think of. Look, the last thing I wanted to say, and I hope that this video just makes it out to somebody that will, maybe have an understanding and sit down with me and maybe we could figure things out, somebody in the state at some level. The last thing I wanted to say was, the California State Athletic Commission invited its promoters not too long ago to have a sit down. And they were proposing changes because of this situation they're in, or that we're all in. And, they basically told us, and, I thought it was an information gathering meeting, but it really wasn't. It was kind of, this is what we're going to do, so get ready, right? And they basically just told us that, look, we're not going to allow for audiences, and the promoters are going to be responsible for paying every single person's COVID test. And, if you're a regional promotion, you're not the UFC or Bellator or some major boxing promotion that's making a ton of money, you're one of the few regional promotions that's even in existence here, like myself, then that means tens upon thousands of dollars in revenue lost because no audience is allowed, and tens upon thousands of additional expenses because they're charging something like $150 to $175 per test, and you got to test according to their rules your own staff, every fighter, every cornerman, and typically they have two, sometimes three, every state official, and you multiply. I mean, that's going to be at least 100, 150 people multiplied by $150, $175. You also would have to create a bubble and a hotel. I mean, this is just stuff that's just not doable for anybody but the most high up of promotions. And, I know that the commission is not doing well financially if they're, nobody's doing fights and paying them. So I hope at some point somebody addresses these issues. I'm not very optimistic about it. I just feel like that action of creating that wealth and exit tax is indicative of the attitude towards businesses. So I'm not optimistic about it at all. I will stay optimistic about us hopefully doing events in 2021, but at the rate it's going now, I don't see a light at the end of the tunnel at all. At all. So that's me kind of venting to you guys, man. Hit the subscribe button, the bell notification icon next to it to know whenever we post a video. Smash the like button too. I hope you guys do that. Also support us at this time, man. It'd be greatly appreciated. As you can see, I can't do anything, man. If I didn't have other sources of income coming in a little bit, I would be toast right now. I don't know what I'd do. So any support is appreciated. In the links below, we got shirts, hoodies, masks, tank tops. By, purchasing your FightersRep gear, you not only help support the channel, but the only kickboxing promotion that matters, the only one that exists in the most populous state in the entire United States. The only one. In the mecca of combat sports. The only one. And now you know why. And there's so much more to it. There's so much more to it, and I'm not going to let you guys have all of this depressing bullshit in one sitting, but there's so much more to it, and I didn't want you guys to get upset or depressed about this. I want you guys just to be informed about what I'm dealing with here. And I believe I've succeeded as a business in spite, not because of, but in spite of all these rules and regulations. And there's another story I want to tell you about. I'll probably tell you guys about it sometime later this week. So, yeah, that's it. Let me know what you guys think, man. I'd love to hear your opinions on the matter. Any suggestions you guys have. I'm open to listening to them. Have a great one.